Drake Pearson, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the show. Oh man, everyone, buckle up. Buckle up. Probably grab a notebook, grab some water, an espresso shot. What's up,
Heck
Drake?
yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Dude, just let me say, first off, I love working with you just like all the time. Just like I mean, it's fun because we're aligned in vision, right? We're aligned in purpose. And so we can get together really quickly. And like as soon as we start talking, it's just like boom, 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 boom. And I'm glad that we're doing this so that we can share like more with people because they're gonna get a lot of value out of just the sharing from the both of us, but also, dude, it's not just a lot of people will just talk, right?
Mhm.
They'll talk, they'll say good things, it sounds really good, but what are they actually building? You know? Whereas we have like we have a community already, right? And it's like the results that we've seen from that community, the just the life changes, the relationships, all of that from that community is amazing. It's immense. We've been talking about it, and I know we're going to get into it, but I'm just saying, if you're listening to this, you're going to hear more of these, I'm sure, right? But really take this seriously as far as the things that we're sharing, because um, what I'm expecting for those who follow you, who follow me, who subscribe to our content, who are seeing us on a regular basis. If you watch us for long enough, you will have a complete shift in your life. Your relationships will change, your finances will change, your purpose in your life, your fulfillment will change, and I mean those in the best ways, actually, right? You will see it, and so listen in. Obviously you're going to have to do things, right? But you'll start to think about things differently. It'll change the way that you're doing things, and you'll see, oh, I want to be a part of this, right? Maybe you won't. And if that's you, if you don't want to change, I can't help you. I can't, it's got to be up to you, right? But if you're hearing this and any of what we say resonates with you, man, keep plugging in because we mean serious business.
Yes, yes. So let's just dive straight into the heart of the matter. I mean, I want to go into a little bit of your history, but let's save that for a moment from now. Okay. You give me like Ray Kroc who started McDonald's?
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
give me Ray Kroc vibes in the best way. Like
Dude,
like how he could see a vision and how he's like, I am gonna get the best restaurant on every corner in every city. But that's you with your the education, the community, and all that. Tell us about
you
that.
know, okay, all right. So I appreciate that because the vision is real. Like, okay, imagine, this guy selling McDonald's. Like before McDonald's was even a thing, before the nation knew about it, this guy's like, I see this on every major intersection, every corner, all across the US. We're gonna be huge. This is amazing, right? Okay, that's just a restaurant. That's just a restaurant, right? But he was able to share that vision really effectively. We have something that is way, way, way more than just that. We're talking about legit elite education for your children. And I mean this in the most practical ways. But if you look at the education system right now, every parent that I'm talking to, every single one is like, it's crap. I know it's crap. And some of them are just like, I just don't know of any alternative, right? And others are just like, I'm looking, what do you got? Please, right? And so you know, in the education system right now, it's like two-thirds of students aren't even reading at grade level, at what's considered grade level by the school. They can't even get them to that level. That's over half. Over half of them are not even doing that. And same thing with math. It's like the likelihood of you finding a child in school who can both read and do math just at grade level. I'm not even talking about advanced, just where they're supposed to be according to the school. it's less than 30%, right? That is, if you're a parent right now, you're going, huh, so the likelihood that my kid's actually going to do the things that school's supposed to get them to do is less than a third. That's not good odds. What the hell? But beyond that, beyond just that, right? It's like, okay, so that's really easy because and I'm more so saying this for those who might be listening in, who maybe aren't as familiar with you or me. But we have kids who are reading at 3 years old beyond levels that parents are even like thinking that is possible. We've got kids who are reading at 4, like at 5th grade levels or 6, like it just keeps going. It's crazy, right? It's not crazy, but it's like beyond what anybody's even expecting. And so that is a problem that we're solving that is huge, first of all, because it's a major problem that everyone's experiencing right now. And obviously we have the solution for that. And I usually talk about, because today what's really popular and what everybody's seeing is automation and AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone's seeing right now just how impressive our technology, our automation, our AI has gotten, to the point where it's like, whoa, this stuff is clearly taking away jobs.
Can you
know?
give a couple examples for people who may not be aware of the cutting edge? Because I know you give like proper talks about this.
So, okay. If you have been living under a rock, there is an AI right now that you can go on online and say, write me an essay that covers these topics, and it'll write you that essay, right? And it'll do 5 pages, 10 pages, whatever you want. And it'll do a pretty decent job too. Literally had somebody attend one of my talks, and then we connected afterwards because he said he was, passionate about education. And I'm like, all right, great. I'm looking for people who are passionate about education because we need more of that. He attended one of my talks. We connected afterwards. He sent me a text and he said, Drake, I went to one of those websites that you mentioned. I went on that AI, and he's attending law school right now. And he said, I have 3 finals papers due this week. I went onto this AI. I did what you were showing in the talk. And I literally he sent me a video, and the video was this AI writing his paper. And I was like, more power to you. He's like, you just saved me 8 hours of my life. I'm like, oh, well, you still know you have to do some tweaks to it. He's like, no, I get that. But dude, this is the hardest part. You just saved me 8 hours of my life. Okay, that's just one of these AIs. It can write code. It can write marketing pieces for you. It can do all this stuff. And then on top of that, AI right now can generate images, so it can do graphics for you. It can actually generate video just from text alone. It can generate really compelling video, right? And beyond that, it can generate like people that look real, that are not real, but it can create a person that looks like a real person. And you can do that in a matter of seconds, over and over and over and over again. And so modeling agencies are actually using these fake AI generated people to model their products. And so instead of going and hiring a model with this certain height and this complexion and this ethnicity and this age or whatever, you can just put all of that into an AI, and you just saved yourself hunting for the perfect person, for one, that may or may not fit what you're looking for, and 2, a bunch of money for paying that person to do however long you need them for, right? So that in itself is like, whoa, okay, media. Oh, you've seen, I know, the Drake song that came out, Drake and the Weeknd, wasn't even Drake or the Weeknd. It was an AI mimicking their voice, It was so good. I played that song for some students. I played it for adults. I played it for a lot of people, and they were like, "This song's actually pretty good. Yeah, this is kind of." I'm like, it was done by AI. They're like, "No way, no way!" It like blew their minds, right? So I'm sharing that because AI is at the point now where it's actually entertaining. The media that it's putting out is actually entertaining. It's good. It's good. So, okay, just imagine it's going to be a very short time from now where the media that you are consuming was actually generated by AI, right? And beyond that, they put out a paper that says those at most risk for being exposed to AI, meaning the AI could do its job, do their job, are those who have bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, right? That is super significant because what jobs are going to be available for those people? What jobs are going to be available in general? If you're not educated, if you don't know how to use AI, like I like to ask people, hey, AI can write code for you. They're like, cool. I'm like, so imagine if you wanted to write a code, what would you write? Most people, they're like, oh, because they have no relevance there. There's no like understanding of code or whatever. If I ask a programmer that, they go, oh, I could get this project done right now because they already know, like, oh, okay, so it can do this. Oh, I can have it do this and take from this spreadsheet and put it in here. Like they already know what's possible. So they can do that. They can utilize it versus the average person. They don't have that education. They don't have. So you're going to have to be, if you want to take advantage of it, you want to actually, because those who are getting the most benefit from this technology are those who know how to use it. Yes, it's amazing. It's a great tool, whatever. But if you don't know how to use it, it's just entertainment. It's just like, okay, cool. Right. And so you're going to have to be educated. That doesn't necessarily mean going to school. I know you know this, but like, I just got to make it really clear because some people, education is so tied to schooling for them
Ugh.
that like they can't
Yeah,
think
duped.
anything outside of that, you know?
Mm.
But let me just wrap this up, right? You're going to have to be educated to work with AI effectively, to work with the new technologies effectively. And if you can't do that, you're going to fall behind, right? And uh, that's not the position that you want to be in. That's not the position that you want for your kids. So we are able to make a huge difference in that. We already are. We already are. It's just more as more and more parents start to see that, as more and more families, as more and more people just in general start to see that, they are going to gravitate towards this. And then the bigger piece, the much better, greater piece rather, is the purpose behind everything that we're doing. And so I don't know if you're ready to get into that, but like I know you had the questions.
I am always ready. But just first, just tell people a little bit about your own journey, like growing up and then finding this community, specifically TechnoTutor and what it's done for you. I think that'd be cool.
Sure.
And then we'll get into purpose.
Sure. Okay. So growing up, I grew up with a single mother. And it's so weird to say that these days, not because it's rare, but because there feels there's a feeling of like that has to be defended in some way. I was just
Hmm.
like, she tried her best and all this. Like, there's definitely a culture of, well, single moms, they really do their best. You can't hate on them or whatever. But I'm going to tell you from the perspective of a child who grows up with a single mother, it's not the best thing. It's not. And it's nothing against my mom. I love my mom, right? It's nothing against like those parents who are in that position. It's just what would be best for the child is growing up with both of their parents, assuming both of their parents are stable. So the best thing would be that the parents are stable, working effectively together, and we've seen those sorts of transitions or transformations rather in our community where parents are thinking like we're going to separate because I can't get along with this other person, et cetera, et cetera. But then they like completely turn that around, and then how their family dynamic changes. It's beautiful. It's amazing. But I grew up not with that experience. I grew up with a single mom, and my family owned child care centers since before I was even born. And so I immediately was living with like my mom, my grandmother, and going to these childcare centers. And I could see really firsthand, it's like when you're put into a childcare center, maybe as a child, maybe you might forget what it's like when you become an adult, right? And then you might do the same thing to your kids. Well, I had the fortune of my family owning these childcare centers, and so I would go there often and see just what was taking place, and I constantly had a reminder. And it's funny because we were talking with a parent yesterday, and she was saying how when she worked at like a preschool, or I think it was actually for infants, right? Uh, that they were not allowed to pick up and hold the babies, right? And I forgot about that. That's a huge thing actually. When you are a childcare center, you do not want anybody holding the babies because it's like 1 to 6 or whatever the ratio is now, right? And you can't possibly hold all 6 babies at once. And so the problem is if you hold one and they get used to it, then all of a sudden now you've always got to hold them, and then you got to hold the others, and it's not possible. And so what they're doing at these childcare centers is they are basically conditioning your child to be deprived of the touch that they need, the holding that they need, the love and the care that they need. And I feel like a lot of parents just are not aware of that. Anyway, kind of side subject. I grew up with that understanding of childcare centers and what happens in childcare centers and preschools and things like that. And one of the major things is today, I live in the state of Florida. Today, they do a test for when a child enters into kindergarten. And they just test to see if they're ready for kindergarten, right? And when they do this test, they see that, oh, what they're testing for is, do you recognize your letters? Do you recognize your numbers? Not even all of them, just a good portion of them. If you can recognize a majority of them, then they're like, okay, you're ready for kindergarten. 51% of kids in the state of Florida are not considered ready for kindergarten. 51%, that's over half. And you go into kindergarten when you're 5, by the way, right? So over half the kids don't know their letters and numbers fully, right? I'm bringing this up because the way that I found out about TechnoTutor and this community and all that is I happened to meet Cameron Cope, one of the co-founders, on a cruise here in Florida, right? And we got to talking. I figured he was pretty cool. I was like, yeah, he's a cool guy. And then we ended up hanging out here in Orlando after that cruise because they were him and his wife were staying for a couple more days. And they were just like, hey, if you're not doing anything, would you like to hang out? I'm like, heck yeah, I'll show you guys around. We drove around all of Orlando. We had like long talks about macaroni and cheese because I was really into macaroni and cheese at that time. And at the end of it, we basically exchanged like Facebook information. And Cam was like, if you're ever in Houston, there's a great macaroni and cheese place. I'll take you there. And I'm like, great. And then after that, what really kind of roped me in was I would see Cameron on Facebook, and I could see his life was getting better and better and better. He was obviously making more money. His health was looking better. He was getting like more fit. His wife was looking more fit. They were having kids. They were moving into nicer houses, buying, nicer cars, and even like being invited into these beautiful mansions that, he had some videos of these mansions that I was just like, dude, who the hell are you connected with? What is going on? I need to know more, right? And I remember specifically, he made a post about CEOs on average have a vocabulary that's like 3,500 words more than the average person. And when I read this post, I'd actually already known this information. I'd already studied this just a little bit, but And my solution to it was I was going to go read a dictionary, which didn't work. You ever
I
try to
tried
read
that
a
too.
dictionary? You
Yeah.
tried that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It
I
didn't work.
tried that. I was just like, dude, this isn't working for me. I did not remember any of these words. I don't get the point of it. Anyway, so he said like, I've got the fastest way to grow your vocabulary. I'm like, let me hit this guy up, see what he's talking about. We started talking. At the end of that, I was like, I want to get TechnoTutor. And I started using it for myself. One of the things I really wanted to change in my life was just my relationships. I had very poor relationships, and specifically like with women. And I started with their guidance, with Cameron and Avery's guidance. I started working on my relationships and seeing just how messed up my thinking was towards relationships and towards women, and even my own mother. And then I started seeing a huge shift in just my relationship with my mom. And that's not even something that I was really focused on or wanting. And then after that, I started seeing a shift in my relationships with women in general. And now today, I'm married to the woman of my dreams. We have a baby on the way. We live in a very, like, I know you haven't seen my place yet, Mitch, but it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. And this is the best relationship I've ever had. Like, obviously, right? But that would not have been possible for me. And I tried a lot of things in the past. And so now I'm just gonna flow right into purpose here because it fits in really nicely. I didn't know these things that I have now in my life. I didn't know I actually wanted this. Like I wanted it. Like I wanted a relationship, obviously, but at the same time, it was just like, yeah, but I also want to be like this playboy or whatever, or like, get all the girls. I also wanted to be like, I just wanted to make money and like kind of live the lifestyle that you see in, social media or whatever, where people are just like, yeah, I'm flying on private jets. I got the Lamborghini and all this. That's kind of what I wanted. And also at the same time is not happening for me. I was not making a lot of money or any of that stuff. But after joining, like getting TechnoTutor for myself and starting to really comprehend things in a really different way, I could see how the reason why I gravitated toward those other things is because what I really wanted deep down, as far as the relationship, I wasn't getting it. Right. And I was just sort of looking for what's the next best thing that maybe I could possibly get. Maybe that thing's not for me. I just kind of resigned myself to it's not going to happen. And as I started to see why it wasn't happening, then I could shift and go, oh, I can actually get those things that I wanted in the first place. And then I started getting them. And I'm like, holy crap, right? And so the purpose behind the education is not just so you can make a bunch of money and like only like live your lifestyle selfishly or whatever. It's so that we can create a world where everyone can have what they actually desire. As in, man, today, how many people would you say are completely deprived of an actual real relationship?
I would say at least half.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
don't so many people actually feel a lot of loneliness, even though they may have people around them, even.
Yeah. Or they have a partner, they're even married, but on the
Right.
inside, like they're depressed.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, who would actually wants to feel that way? Really?
No, nobody actually wants to feel that way.
Right. And so, okay, the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's like we see in our own community just how that's possible that people would feel that way, but then how it's also possible to change it very simply just by improving your education. And again, education is not just the academics, it's not just school. We're talking about like a holistic approach to education being, why is it that we're not taught in school about how to communicate with someone effectively? Why is it that we're not taught in school about relationships? Why is it that we're not taught? And obviously, I know why we're not taught in school, because that's not the purpose of school. But why is it that you don't get a proper education on what is going on in this world as far as poverty, as far as issues that need to be solved, as far as like solving really the global issues that nobody wants? Nobody wants poverty. Nobody wants war. I mean, maybe there's a few people that want war because they benefit from it. But I think if you talk to the general person out there, they're going to say like, "Oh, war is bad," obviously, right? Nobody wants to live in starvation. You wouldn't want to be a part of it. You wouldn't want to have it happen to you. Nobody would want to live in unsanitary conditions. All these things. It's like, okay, why do those things happen? Because we have the resources to solve it. We have the capability. You know what we don't have? The education. It's like this. In the US, average person's reading at like a 4th grade level. Okay, so the average person's reading at a 4th grade level. That means, well, don't you think some of these problems that we face in the world are just a little bit above a 4th grade level? Just a little bit, right?
Of course.
You know what's funny? You know what comes in at 4th grade or 4th grade or just beyond 4th grade? Fractions. Do you know how many adults cannot do fractions?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do fractions, how are you supposed to solve the problems of like distributing food effectively?
Yeah.
Just that,
Yeah.
and so the vision here is really getting everyone as educated as possible, because a couple of things. One, we were talking about AI just a little bit. We have thousands of the smartest, most technological minds working on making AI as smart as humanly possible, as powerful as humanly possible. But where are the people getting excited about making the human as smart as humanly possible, as powerful as, like, seriously? And there's a lot of excitement with, AI or whatever. I think it's just because people don't know what is possible with the human. And we're showing that. We're showing you can be extremely intelligent. You can have really amazing relationships. You can make good money. You can be a kind person. All of these things at the same time. You don't have to just pick one and just, oh, I want to make money, so I guess that means I can't be kind. You don't have to live that way. You can actually do all these things and more. And to the level that we've seen, which is not even scratching the surface of everything that's possible, but to the level that we've seen is already way beyond what most people even are aware of that's possible, right? And so sharing this, it's a no-brainer. It's like, as in, you don't have to think about it. It's really common sense. It's really practical. It's just, dude, what else are you going to be doing with your life? What else are you going to do? You're just going to make a lot of money for what? For what? To eventually give back? What if you could give back and make a bunch of money at the same time? What if you could live your purpose? It's not what if. You can live the purpose of actually giving back to life, actually creating a world that is the best possible world that we could live in, and enjoying your life and make money at the same time. Like, there doesn't have to be a quote unquote sacrifice, right? You just got to step out of your own way.
Yeah, that's really the only sacrifice, is you have to be willing to let go of your limitations, your possessions.
Right.
Not physical possessions, your emotional possessions.
Right.
Like if you're afraid to go out your front door and talk to somebody, you're
Right.
gonna have to give that up because that's some bullshit. That means you actually only care about yourself.
Right. Right. So okay, here's what I'm suggesting here. Here's what I'm suggesting is I am making the commitment, or I have made the commitment, the dedication towards creating a world that is actually best for all, which in simple terms just means everyone has access to clean drinking water, to nutritious food, nutritious for them, not what somebody else tells you is like, hey, you got to eat crickets now. No, like actual, real, nutritious
But the
food.
CDC and the WHO said that crickets are good for you,
Right, right,
and
right.
eating chicken will give you bird flu.
They've also said a lot of other crazy things that are not true. um, uh, but also having sanitary living conditions where your let's say your excrement is removed away from you. You don't have to live in your own filth, right? And having a roof over your head, security, and having access to elite level education, the best education possible. Everyone that should be a right for everyone, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. Because
let's make that.
because think about it. If the elite education is not distributed effectively, there will be a hierarchy. And that has been the missing piece forever in humanity. Maybe you could touch on that too.
Okay,
Because
yes.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. So first off, we can make that a reality for everyone because we have the practical tools. It's not just like a pie in the sky wish or whatever. It's we have the practical tools. It's very like it's very obvious. You can work it out one by one by one. You don't have to be some like supreme, extreme mathematician. I try to put those words together, right? You don't have to be like this big brain person, but you do have to have an education at least to some level to be able to work out just the common sense point of yeah we can actually do this, right? And then actually implementing it. Well, if we don't, we will have this hierarchy of the haves and the have nots, because you'll feel like if you know how to do something and you're looking at a whole bunch of people who don't know how to do it and you keep trying to explain it to them and they don't get it, you're going to feel like, you know what, let me just do it for you. Let me just manage you and I'll tell you what to do and you just listen to me, and then you're going to have to control them and more and more and more and more, right? Versus if you know, Mitch, I know you can handle a lot of things that I can do. And so I could just say, hey, Mitch, we got to get this project done. Let's do this is the result that we're looking for. Doom, doom, doom. And you've got it done in like 2 minutes. I'm like, shit. That's what, but that makes our relationship so amazing because I know we're equals.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, we're operating on the same level. We're able to communicate effectively like that. The other thing is this. Okay. Imagine, so we are always talking about what's best for all, considering what's best for all. You have to be able to be educated in order to consider others. Otherwise, you'll just consider up to a certain point, and then you'll be like, oh, it's too complicated beyond that. And you won't actually do the best thing. You'll just do what feels good or what you can handle, but you're not actually working it out, right? That principle is the principle that everyone wants to live by. It is, at the end of the day, it's everyone wants to do unto their neighbors as they want done unto them. Everybody would love if everybody actually lived that way. But nobody's doing that because, well, a lot of people aren't doing it. I don't want to say nobody. Obviously, we're doing it, right? We have a community of people. But the vast majority of people are not living that way because, well, number one, they don't understand it. Number two, they don't see what's possible. But also, they're focused on mostly survival, right? At the end of the day, they're focused on their survival. And even those who have a lot of money, right, who like they just keep getting more and more and more and more, but they're not doing anything real, they're just focused on survival too, and just keeping what they have. And this is the point. It's like, where is that going to lead? What is the point of that? You just have more to have more. You're going to die eventually. You realize that, right? What are you going to do? What's your legacy going to be? I built a lot of stuff. I owned a lot of stuff. Okay, but what's the benefit to society? Like, knowing now, today, that we have the technology to make a huge, huge difference, not just in, hey, we could build some really cool technological things and have advanced AI and all that. Okay, that's cool. But isn't the purpose of all of this stuff, if you actually think about it, charities, building, a business that solves problems, whatever, which we solve the biggest problem, by the way, isn't the purpose of all of this to create a world where we can live without, like, oh, aren't there these foundations out there, they look for a cure for cancer?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the ideal? Isn't that what we're like? You gotta really, sometimes people can't fathom that we could live in a world that's best for all. But then what's the point of you doing anything? What's the point? Oh, well, I could just have the best for me. Well, actually, if we all get on the same page, we can have the best for all of us together. And then we wouldn't have to worry about survival. We could actually be creative, because if you don't have to worry about your survival, then all of the effort that you put into anything is going to be straight passion. It's what you want to do, right? And so what I'm basically saying is everything else out there is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It doesn't really matter if it's not with the starting point in mind, the purpose to create a world where everyone has their needs met, where we don't have to worry about survival anymore, where parents can stay at home with their kids and actually be supportive for them, where they're not in this sort of mindset where they're like, oh, I got to go to work, I got to do this, like, which becomes, for that parent, it becomes abusive to their children. If us doing this, there's nothing better to do. What more could you want to do? You're solving the biggest problem, making the biggest differences in people's lives.
It's literally the ultimate point.
Yeah.
Now
we get to all enjoy it together. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, what would you say to someone who's now going through cognitive dissonance because they hear it and they go to like, wow, that's amazing. That's actually what I want. Then there's this funny thing that I notice happens with some people is they'll like then deny it because they're like, I don't like, I can't believe I'm that lucky to hear this. Or I can't believe it's like actually the thing I'm looking for. It's like this moment of understanding, and then the mind comes in and fucks it all up. So
yeah,
what would you say to someone in that position?
It's funny. I was talking with a psychologist actually just yesterday. And as I was explaining this to her, and I was just showing her like what it is that we do, she said to me, I feel so lucky to be hearing this right now. Like, this is actually why I got into psychology in the first place. This is what I want to do. This, like, and I'm excited to hear more about it. The thing is, if you're hearing this and you don't know exactly what we do, you have to see it, right? And so what I would say to those people is like, oh, this is really cool. This is amazing. Great. Yeah. But how? Okay, we got to get that piece solved for you. The how, we have the how. You just got to see it, right? And so that's really all I can say to those people, because you're gonna have whatever thoughts you're gonna have. I'm not there with you to like, oh, this is the thought you're having, and here's how you should look at this way. You just have to see it, because that'll handle all your questions about how is this possible. But consider this: if you had a tool that could make you or your children super genius, how would your life change? Can you see that for yourself? If you were super genius and you could solve any problem, you could come up with the answer because you're super genius, what would be different in your own life? That gives you like a little inkling into how we're talking about, but you're going to have to see it firsthand because it really is that potent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And some people will then go, okay, well, yeah, I just need to see it. And then, they'll just freaking get distracted right after this video because YouTube will feed them the next Kim Kardashian video or whatever.
That's true.
And then, but then there are some people too who just have it within them where they can make that decision to say, look, this makes enough sense to me. I want to be on board with this. And there's so many people like that in our community too, that just come not out of nowhere, but kind of out of nowhere. They hear about it, say like, this is literally what I've been looking for. Like Gaetan. I had one chat with Gaetan, and he was speaking full French. I'm like, he's like, please slow down. I'm just like, I don't know if you're going to be able to understand me, but I'm going to let you know. Cause he's like, how can you help me? It's like, I'm trying to be successful. I have a wife, a son on the way. I'm just like, look, the way I can help you is if you get TechnoTutor. I know you're not going to comprehend it. I promise you it will work. And sure enough,
now,
a month later, he calls me. He goes, I have the money. And I'm like, okay, great. So I get it to him. Now what? We're maybe a year in, 13 months in. I mean, he's literally like leading some of the calls. Like this guy's English is just ridiculously good. He's awesome father. His son is literally like, as his son, who's now 13 months old or 14 months old, shout out Juanilo, is more prepared for kindergarten, quote unquote, than those kids, than 51% of the Florida kids.
Exactly.
At one and a half.
And the crazy thing about his story, what I love about his story in particular, is he came from Africa.
Yeah.
He came from Africa. He was working as a janitor, and now he's a killer in sales. He speaks English now. English was not even in his repertoire. His kid recognizes more letters than a lot of the kids here at 5 years old. And his kid's really stable too. Yeah. And other parents that he talks and gets around are like, whoa, what's going on? How are you able to do this? I'm sharing that because he's like, you don't have to be a super genius to start this or to do this. Right.
Yeah. And you're not actually going to be a super genius until you start this. You might be really smart in certain areas. You might be able to understand technology or business or whatever. But do you have that with the principles, with the comprehensive understanding that we're all in this together and we're either going to figure this out and make it best for all? I mean, that's what we're committed to. Or you're going to be part of the group that doesn't.
What I would suggest to anyone who's listening in on this and they're like, this vibes with me. I resonate with this. I want to know more. I got to get that understanding. Go check out the Facebook group. I'm sure it's in the link for the description here.
Self-perfected you.
Yep. So check out or just go online to Facebook and type in self-perfected and you'll see our logo. It's a little black logo, right? And join the Facebook group. Or send Mitch a message directly, send myself a message directly, and we'll share with you. You can come be a part of what we're growing and be a part of the community, see other people doing this and really see for yourself firsthand, like, holy crap, this is real. And the results that other people are getting and just what can change in your life too. You'll see it.
Yes. Well, thanks, Drake. We didn't even get into the stuff about, Jesus.
I know, but it's okay. We'll be doing this more.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And just from that, like I said, keep plugging into this, keep listening to these things, have conversations with us. You want to see your life change, you will see it change. That's where we're heading.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Drake. Everyone reach out and let's keep building this. All right. See you.